I opened the front door and a wave of apprehension covered me. I hung back, fussing with my keys, willing cheerfulness. It was nothing, I told myself. I was tired, that was all, and sad, remembering that the last time I had been here I was a happily married woman, and not the newly divorced lone mother of a 10-year-old girl. No wonder I felt uneasy. I'd bought this property with my first city bonus. I'd worked hard for it. Originally, it had been a family home that had since housed hippies and bedsits, 3 dropouts to a room. Then I refurbished it as a smart rental. The decor is neutral, a shrine to the gods of taupe and beige, 3 bedrooms, 1 ensuite, would suit young professionals. Now it's come full circle. A family home, though I never planned to live here. I shivered. Oh, it's nothing, I told myself again, just good memories gone sour. We should phone Daddy straight away, let him know we're safe. I said it automatically. My daughter Ellie ignored me. Perhaps she hadn't heard. Or perhaps she remembered, better than I, that Daddy had a new life now, and that our welfare could wait. She was crouched on the hall floor, hypnotised by a haystack of flyers. It wasn't what she was used to. At home there was a firm "No junk mail please" sticker on the letterbox, and any that slipped through was shredded with immediate ruthlessness for recycling. But we weren't at home anymore. We lived here now. I fished a whiskey bottle from my handbag and poured myself a drink. The glasses in the cupboard sparkled. At least the last tenants had been clean. Ellie peered round the kitchen door. She looked guilty. "Can I keep this?" she asked. "What is it?" Her eyes fearful, she held out a shiny, happy leaflet. "Pizza," it proclaimed. "Delicious, fresh-baked pizzas delivered to your door. Free delivery within 5-mile radius." "Shall we order one for supper?" I said it like a dare. "Can we?" she whispered. "Yes," I said, "but no meat." She spread the leaflet on the kitchen table and traced it out in wonderment. "Could we have pizza Marguerita?" she asked. "Tomatoes, mozzarella and basil, red, white and green in honour of the Italian flag." "OK," I said, and she watched with disbelief as I took my phone and broke one of her father's great commandments, "Thou shalt not order takeaway." When the pizza came, we ate it straight from the box, and my daughter hugged herself with glee. It was the first time all week I'd seen her smile. I felt better. It might do her good to get away from her dad for a bit. He took fads, you see. The last one had been composting. This time it was yoga and macrobiotics. And Alison, who practised kinesiology and always wore white. They'd met on a relinquish your material sandbags retreat. Amazing how much the simple life costs, I'd sniped waspishly. After all, I was paying for it. My husband explained patiently what he'd told me 1,000,000 times before, that we were at different stages of our spiritual evolution. He was the nurturer, I the provider. We must accept our places in the universe. When we divorced, he asked for what my lawyer called alimony, and he called an offering. Then he told me that he and Alison were expecting twins. Well, that was when I knew that he wouldn't fight for custody of Ellie. I made up our beds and cleaned my face and peeped in to kiss her good night. She was already asleep, the pizza menu under her pillow, one corner sticking out, her fingers touching it. I stood watching her, wondering how I could cope on my own, provider and nurturer. My fingers sneaked over the handset in my dressing-gown pocket. Tomorrow I'd buy Ellie her own mobile and she could call her father whenever she wanted. Then he and I would have no reason to speak and find an excuse to row. "No," said Ellie. "No, please stop. They're hurting her." At first I wondered if she'd heard my thoughts, but then I saw that she was still asleep. She pushed off her bedclothes and stood on her pillow, her back pressed hard against the wall, her eyes fixed on a corner, her breath coming in sobs. I'd never seen her so pale. "Ellie," I said, "it's all right, I'm here." "They're hurting her," she screamed. "They're hurting her. Make them stop." "You're having a bad dream, that's all," I said. "Shh. Make them stop. Please make them stop." She snatched her pizza menu and held it like a shield. "OK," I said, "OK, I'll make them stop." She clung to me and I held her till she slept. Next morning I said, "That was a rotten dream you had last night. What was it about?" "Pizza Marguerita," she answered. I felt so stupid. I was a bad mother. Her father had raised our daughter on a healthy diet of brown rice and broccoli, and I'd fed her oily, doughy pizza just before bedtime and given her nightmares. Maybe Dad's right about takeaway, I said. We'll have a nice fresh salad tonight. No, Mum. Pizza Marguerita's a girl. Oh. You said someone was hurting her. Yes, but they didn't know. They thought it was for the best. For the best. That was my pet phrase. Getting divorced, moving school, moving house. Honestly, Ellie, it's for the best. It was obviously transference. She didn't want to admit that it was she who was being hurt. Well then, Miss Pizza Marguerita might be useful. Help Ellie work things through. She wouldn't be the first child to benefit from an imaginary friend. We went shopping and I bought her a mobile and she phoned her dad. There was no reply. That night we made up her bed with a new duvet and pillows and she snuggled back and said it was like sleeping on clouds. But later on she woke with the same pallor and the same words. Make them stop, they're hurting her. I slept alongside her, but her bed was small for the two of us, and the following night I said, Ellie, just in case you have another bad dream, why don't we sleep in my room tonight? The bed's bigger. Please, no, Mum, she said. Pizza Marguerita needs me. So every night for a week, Ellie sobbed and clutched her pizza menu, and I kept watch, and the thing in the corner waited. I phoned the previous tenant and asked if she'd ever felt anything in the house. Oh, no, she said brightly. We always had such a good feeling there and always felt safe. It's such a happy space. I thought then that it must be me infecting Ellie's bedroom with the unhappiness of my shattered marriage. So after a week of it, when my nerves were raw and my temper frayed, I broke and phoned her father and told him all about Pizza Marguerita and the nightmares and said that he and I should try and build bridges for her sake. I caught him just after he'd finished his daily yoga. It's odd how a person can hold the sun pose and meditate for hours and still be so cranky. You've been feeding her pizza? He exploded. Only once, I said. Well, stop it. No wonder she's having nightmares. It's more than that, I said. Maybe she's disturbed something. A poltergeist, maybe. Children can. But I think that she just needs reassurance that her parents still, well, at least like each other. Please don't use our daughter to get at me, he said. I'm not. Look, this is part of her journey. He was using his kindly voice. It's something she needs to work through for herself. But let her settle in and we'll speak next week. Will you have a word with her now? I asked. She's upstairs. Look, you phoned at a really bad time. I could hear the twins squalling in the background. I'm here on my own, he said. I'm going on a fasting retreat tomorrow. I'll include Ellie in our prayers. I'll include both of you. I'll be away for 3 days. Well, hot dog bully for you, I said, and slammed down the receiver. Petty, I know, but I was on my own too. Mum? Ellie stood watching me. She must have heard everything. Mum, Pizza Marguerita asked me to give you a message. She says she's sorry to frighten you and she knows you need your sleep, but you have to understand she wants to go home. This is home now, Ellie. We have to accept that. But Pizza Marguerita... Ellie, that's enough. Look, we have 1 more week before you start school. I'll take some more time off work and we'll go on holiday to Disneyland, on Eurostar. No, she said. No. Pizza Marguerita wants us to take her home. And I got it wrong again. Splitting her loyalty, challenging her father to whom Walt Disney was the high priest of iniquity. All right, I said. Where shall we go? Belfast, she said. Anderson's town. I was stunned. I'd honestly expected her to say our old address or her father's new one. You know nothing about Belfast, I said. I do so, protested Ellie. There's a big grey house with an orchard, and the pigs from the farm escaped there and ate all the apples, and you have to comb your hair or it'll get all matted like the tangly willow. And there's a river through the fields, and Pizza Marguerita had her parlour there and picked mayflowers in a bog. When I thought of all the news footage I'd seen of Belfast, Ellie's description seemed unlikely, but here she was, fretting at her menu, willing me to take her there. Oh, all right, I said. Belfast it is. That night, with our plane tickets booked, We huddled together in Ellie's small bed, but instead of sobbing, she listened, holding silent communication with the far corner, shaking her head and nodding gravely. Judging by her photograph, Pizza Margherita had been a pretty child. Dark Italian eyes, hair braided in a heavy single plait. Her real name was Marguerite Magliocca. Her parents had owned an ice cream parlour. Ellie brought us straight there, holding her pizza menu like a divining rod, instructing the minicab driver. Straight ahead. Bit further. Bit further. Here. It was a fast food outlet now. The girl behind the counter looked blank. She said she never knew a Marguerita. But wait a minute, Granny, weren't you at school with the ones that used to own this? It was the granny who had the photograph. A class of 9-year-olds, each waving Italian flags and proudly holding a pizza. It was Mrs. Magliocca's idea. We had an Italian day at school and she made us all a wee pizza each. That's me and that's her. It was sad about her. Her daddy had a stroke and couldn't work, and the mammy was at her wit's end and sent Rita over to London to stay with her aunt till she got herself sorted. Rita was always bad with her chest and she got pneumonia. The doctor gave her penicillin. They never knew she was allergic to it, and with her weak already, that's what killed her. They buried her over there, for with the daddy not working, they couldn't afford to bring her home. Her mammy never got over it. She was always down there in the fields picking mayflowers for her. When they built the motorway, it broke her heart. The day the diggers moved in, she took a heart attack and died. They found her face down in the river. We thanked her and left the reek of cheap burgers and sad fried chickens and the long-gone memories of Knickerbocker glories. Ellie pushed impatiently ahead and I watched the two of them running down the lane. I was in no doubt now that there were two of them. I could see it in the way they tripped over each other's feet or giggled as they tried to match steps or hold hands and skip in rhyme. I saw how they inclined their heads for secrets. I saw Ellie seeing beyond the fumes and the hard slab road to the good things that had been there before. I saw myself mourning the humorless spectre of my dead marriage and prayed to see beyond it to the good things that had been there too. I was hopeful. But still, these things take time. Two things were certain, though, that Pizza Margherita had come back home and that Ellie and I would be all right. She was standing in the scrubby grass beneath the toxic motorway, shredding her pizza menu to tiny dots. She waved and blew a kiss and threw them after Margherita's ghost. The wind caught some of them and gusted them away. The rest settled in a puddle, sparkling happily, like mayflowers in a bog.